I hope many of you guys have, the idea about it. But obviously, we are going to talk in detail what exactly is this exam and how does it differ from MRCOG and what are the benefits of it and what are the, the kind of possibilities after doing MRCPI to work in, the many countries, respectable countries. Okay. So hopefully we are going to discuss many, the good parts about, the different degrees, and I will try to highlight, the many good things and advantages in terms of, the studies, in terms of working and everything. Okay. So hopefully we are going to have an interactive session today, and later, obviously, I will be talking about obesity in pregnancy and its, the consequences in pregnancy in terms of Irish, the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland, along with, the tiny differences from the Royal College, the of Obstetrics and Gynecology, UK. All right. So hopefully I'll be telling you the small differences, because certainly both exams are, they equally important these days. And yes, some of the guidelines are different and some of the study pattern is different, but obviously, this is a separate, the kind of board, and that is separate kind of board. So obviously there is going to be, there's some kind of difference. All right. So I will be talking about, all these things, and whenever you guys have any question, you guys can open your mic and ask me. Okay. So I will try to give you, the answer with the best of my knowledge. Okay. All right, so let's get started with this. Okay, so we are going to talk in detail about, the MRCPI exam, and the our agenda today is going to be like, what exactly is MRCPI exam? Why to take MRCPI? What are its benefits? What is its exam pattern? Why MRCPI candidates should aim for it? I mean, is there any kind of a special, the kind of thing that why MRCOD candidates are joining it, and why MRCOD candidates are also aiming for it? MRCPI, then we will cover obesity in pregnancy, that is Irish guideline with relative difference of RCOD guideline of obesity. Plus, I will be telling you in the end about MRCPI preparation, the tactics, the strategies, and the revision courses offers as well in the end. All right. So let's talk about what exactly is MRCPI. Right. As name shows that this is the member of Royal College of Physicians of Ireland. So whenever there is Royal College comes, so obviously, the Ireland has its own Royal College, the UK has its own Royal College, and Ranzogi has its own Royal College. Okay, New Zealand and Australia. So obviously, the whenever we are talking about Royal Colleges, so obviously, the prestige and the the worth increases by that. And certainly, when we do become member of all these colleges, so obviously, it's going to give us separate identity in terms of that, we are graduate of, the Royal College, or we are like, kind of members, or we are fellow, or etc etc. So yes, MRCPI Obstetrics and Gynecology is accredited by the Medical Council of Ireland as foremost knowledge-based assessment of the OBG in Ireland, and I think this is the oldest, the Royal College over there. So the qualification of MRCPI in OBG shows potential employers that you have advanced knowledge of this specialty. You can take history of patients, you can perform clinical examination and formulate investigations and management plans as well. So somehow in Ireland, being an MRCPI means you are ready for higher specialist training, the final training before individual practice. It means the training after that, you can become an individual consultant and you can do your own clinics. So why to take MRCPI? What are its benefits? I mean, this is a very hot topic these days, and almost every second person is talking about it, whoever is in MRCOG, MRCPI business. So obviously, this is a separate exam, this is a separate Royal College, but yes, it has got, potential benefits in terms of MRCOG as well. So first of all, it's an additional prestige in your achievement list, isn't it? So once you become MRCPI, so obviously you can write in front of your, the names. So your crown can have, the multiple, the feathers in terms of multiple degrees. So it is by recognition of the Royal College of Ireland as well, obviously. So MRCPI being recognized by the UK, because if you guys, if anybody has done part 1 in MRCOG, So they can directly apply for MRCPI 2 exam, that is the theory exam. All right. So it means with the one exam, you can go for two, the part two exams. One is for MRCOG and the other is MRCPI 2. Means you can cover both Royal College. And I will be talking about, in the upcoming slide that, what is the potential of both exams. So certainly you can have more job opportunities, because if you are becoming a member of Royal College of UK and member of Royal College of Ireland, so obviously you can go, you can apply to both, the countries, and obviously you can have plenty of, the job opportunities over there, and even in the, the certain parts of the Europe, along with Middle East, and obviously, the Asia as well. So you will have more doors to learning in competitive environment altogether, because altogether all exams will open the plenty of knowledge door, plenty of things where you can improve on your clinical skills, where you can improve on your the knowledge as well. And obviously once you will be dealing with one Royal College, so obviously you will be studying the respective guidelines. So this way or that way you are increasing in your knowledge. So knowledge doesn't go into vain at all. Being a doctor, obviously, I mean, we have this potential, and we tend to learn, and we tend to grow day by day, isn't it? So yes, it is going to have an addition to knowledge base and enhancement in the clinical practices. Like I said, that once you go through all guidelines, what you do in the end, I mean, you try to apply all those guidelines on your patients. You try to implement all those guidelines in your respective hospitals. So in the end, what is happening? You are emerging as a very good, safe practicing doctor. You are emerging as a very good practitioner who is, kind of giving a good quality care to their patients. So in the end, who is getting benefit? You, and side by side your patients as well. And that should be your motive. By taking all the membership exams, by all taking all degrees, that by the end you should be, kind of should be known as a the good, the safe practicing doctor, and a good, the doctor towards your patients as well. So this way you can create your own, the kind of aura. This way you can create your own, the kind of what I can say, the beauty, at your workplace as well. Because certainly, I mean, the multiple degrees in front of your name is going to give you some kind of confidence as well, that okay, I mean, from so many the guidelines, that okay, how to improve on your clinical skills, how to improve on your communication skills, how to behave with patients, how to behave with your colleagues. So obviously it's going to add on, okay, it will beautify your own personality. So when you will be well versed with the guidelines, so certainly you will be working on those guidelines, and you will give quality care to your patients as well. So definitely it is going to have a new feather in your medical achievement cap, isn't it? So why not being an MRCPI when you can have, the two exams after MRCOG 1? So although, these days, because of the pandemic, so its booking has a long time, and these days, sometimes, the difficult booking is there as well. So what can happen is that at least you can, at least you can just jump into the sea, and then let's see, at least apply for once, and then see, how things goes, how, when you get booking. So at least you will be in a flow, that at least you are in a system, that whenever you will get a chance, so you will get an email, and you will get a link to pay as well, and then obviously you can go and write your exam. So since 2021 you can get registered with GMC as well, with MRCPI C, and work in UK as well. So it's a win-win altogether, isn't it? So with one exam you can go for two, the part two exams, and later on the clinicals as well. And yes, you can work, and you can get registered with GMC on behalf of MRCPI, after becoming full MRCPI, not MRCPI part two, because we will be talking about that, how many parts are there for MRCPI 2, because it has got theory, and then it has got clinical exam as well. All right. So once you become MRCPI, you can get registered with GMC, and then you can work in UK, plus you can work in Ireland, plus you can work in so many countries all around the globe. All right, because many countries, they do try to and they do recognize this MRCPI as a postgraduate qualification. So exam pattern, usually it has got, the two parts in MRCPI, obstetrics and gynecology exam. So it has got, the one paper in the theory exam I'm talking about. So it has got one paper that's going to be on, the 3 hours, and it's going to be 100 single best answer questions. See, how easy, isn't it? 100 single best answer questions. That's it. So it is being held twice a year. There is no negative marking. So, and since COVID, it has become online with remote invigilation. It means that you can write your exam from your home, from your own, the environment, wherever you are. There, workplace or home or whatever. So I think, altogether, this is a very good opportunity for people like us, because, these days, because of a lot of inflation. So I think it is a good chance that, at least you can get a chance to write, from your home, okay, part two at least. And then for the, the clinicals, you can travel, and the clinicals are being held in the UAE and in the Ireland as well. So I think it's a good thing, isn't it? So at least, you will be saving a lot of money in terms of traveling costs, in terms of, the hotels, in terms of, unnecessary hassle as well. Travel itself is a very much hassle, isn't it? So obviously, so I think till I think March 2022, it's on their website that it's going to be, the online with remote invigilation. Okay, so you can write it, till March, and hopefully in November as well. So who knows, when time comes, because things are evolving day by day, and perhaps, then it's going to be like, on site. And unluckily, or, you can say, unfortunately, there are not many centers like MRCOG for MRCPI. Then ultimately you will have to travel, for the, the people who are in, Asia or the Middle East. So they will have to travel to UAE, and then, one center is in UK and the other center is in the Ireland itself. All right. So I think it's a good opportunity if somebody can write it, because back in 2019 when I passed this exam, so I had to travel, Abu Dhabi for this exam. All right. So obviously, it was kind of cumbersome to get, the seat first of all, then to travel, then hotel costs and everything. So I think it's a good opportunity if somebody gets a chance to write it from home. So yes, everybody should apply, and everybody should be, aiming for it as well. So I always encourage this for this exam, because, with one MRCOG part one, because till date there is no MRCPI part two. So part one, yes. So with MRCOG one part one, you can write two exams. So yes, altogether it's a win-win situation. So in terms of OSCE and clinical, okay, that is part two. So it has got, the objective structured clinical examination. We are very well versed with this OSCE in terms of, because these days, because of the online MRCOG part three. So we are talking about OSCE all the time, and clinical exam with real patients as well. So it will be having, in terms of OSCE, it will be having 7 active stations, and that's going to be 10 minutes each. And then in terms of clinical exam, there's going to be one long clinical case, and that can be, the either obstetrics case, that can be either gynecological case. Okay. In the recent exam, they had, some gynecology cases. Okay. This is available in Ireland and UAE, like I have told you earlier. So I think probably in 2022, inshallah. So that's going to be the same. And if, after this March exam, if this is happening as an on-site exam, so I think these two, and plus I think Manchester, that's going to be the center again for the MRCPI written as well. In terms of this, because recently I've been talking to many candidates, in terms of clinical exams. So, we came to a conclusion that since, the MRCPI is almost equal to MRCOG these days in terms of GMC registration and everything. So these, MRCPI, the RCPI college is moreover focusing on oncology, focusing on infertility, and focusing on, the kind of, difficult, you can say the complicated medical disorders as well. All right. So yes, the trend is being changed now, and in terms of OSCE stations, the OSCE stations are kind of evolving the station. Okay, from one situation to other, because there is going to be, the clinical examiner that is going to ask you. Okay, so somewhat, many candidates found OSCE very difficult and tricky, and clinical exam, that was the long case, that was kind of, kind of okay for many candidates. But in the end, because today we are talking about written, and probably in near future we will be talking about OSCE and clinical exam as well. But yes, we have to go step by step. All right. So altogether, MRCPI has two parts, right? So theory is going to be based on, obviously the theory, the guidelines and everything, and I'll be telling you in upcoming slide. And then this, the clinical exam. So exam requirement, I think the many of you have already applied for this exam and waiting for the payment link from the college, because these days they are doing it that first of all, they are filtering the candidates. For the candidates who are with the long waiting list, they are getting the chance first, and then the candidates who are going for the first time are going to be in the waiting list for the next upcoming exam. All right. So I will advise all of you to at least please apply, because still I think time is there, because till February, and then they are going to send the payment links, and then the whoever is going to be successful will be paying fee for the exam. All right. So this is a very good thing from the Royal College of Ireland, that they do give some kind of exemptions as well. So you guys can carefully go through the website, and you can have the exemption if applicable for the Pakistani candidate. This is a very good thing, that if somebody who is FCPS in obstetrics and gynecology, so even if she or he hasn't passed MRCOG Part 1, can directly write MRCOG Part 2. Okay. So likewise this, like I have been telling you, for the Malaysian candidates as well, this is also a very good opportunity. So if somebody has done MEd obstetrics and gynecology from Malaysia, can directly go for MRCPI Part 2, and it's not mandatory for them to write MRCOG Part 1. All right. And even this is a good opportunity when I was going through, that a person who just want to switch from general medicine or pediatrics, but they have passed MRCPI Part 1, so they can also write this MRCPI Part 2 right away. All right. So in terms of MRCOG Part 1, this means that the person who has written MRCOG Part 1 in the recent years. Okay. So earlier, back in, I think many years ago, there used to be exemption for the MRCOG Part 1 as well. But now, exemption is not accepted at all. And now there is no more exemption as well. All right. But for the Royal College of Ireland, all these, the candidates who have all these kind of degrees, or kind of, the postgrad qualification, they can directly write MRCPI Part 2, and they don't have to write MRCOG Part 1 at all. Okay. So I think it's a good opportunity for anybody who wants to have additional qualification, who wants to have, or there are, the many people who want to relocate because of one or other reason. So I think this can be a good opportunity. Okay. Eligibility criteria, since January 2019. So the MRCPI 1, it is limited to the 6 attempts only. So somebody who hasn't passed MRCPI 1 in first attempt can maximum go up to 6 attempts to pass this exam. And after 6 years, they have to appeal. They have to go for appeal to the college. Okay. For the overseas, I think there is no appeal, but still, yes, there are certain the exemptions as well. So they have to write MRCPI Part 2. Okay. Yes, you can, Dr. Arif. Yes, you can write. You can write easily. Okay. Because it is for this, it is not written clearly, but generally they say that 6 years is better, but I think you can apply. Okay. And I will tell you that the booking window for this March upcoming exam as well. So after this, passing this MRCPI Part 2 theory, okay, so what you can do is, that is going to be valid for 6 years, and you have to attempt Part 2 clinical exam within the upcoming 6 years. Means altogether in 12 years, in 6 years, sorry, in 6 years, you have to write your OSCE. Okay. After this, then changes to the entry criteria for March 2022 candidates will require now. Okay. So after this March exam, Because earlier what did they used to do was they only needed 2 years, the clinical experience in the obstetrics and gynecology field. That's it. But I think because of the greater demand and because of the GMC, so now there is going to be a lot of changes, which I can see that in 2022, we can see so many changes in these exams as well. So they are changing their own criteria, they are changing their trainings as well. So I think from March 2022, they will require to have completed 18 months of post-registration training in recognized post. So out of that 18 months, 9 months are going to be in obstetrics, 9 months should be in the gynecology solely or in combined post. These posts must be recognized by the Institute of Obstetrics and Gynecologists at RCPI at least 6 months in duration and completed by January before the March examination or by August before the September examination. It means for the candidate who wants to write for this, yes, you can. This is a separate exam, Swati. So what you can do is that even after finishing your MRCUG, okay, you can separately go for this. Okay, like for me, I'm MRCUG as well, MRCPI as well. Okay, so but both are different, the degrees. So certainly you can go. You can get registered. You can get registered easily. Okay, you can get registered on behalf of MRCPI. You can get registered on behalf of this MRCUG as well. Okay, because because of the study pattern, I'll be talking about study pattern as well in upcoming slides, because there is a slight difference, because MRCOG is a kind of um, post registration mean registration from your respective countries, okay, wherever you are, because naturally we do have our the medical registration, isn't it, from our medical council. Okay, so you have to get registered with that medical registration. This is for, like, I mean, kind of new candidates. But if you are yeah, PMGC, PMC, whatever, so yes, you have to have that, number one. Secondly, from India, if somebody is from India or Bangladesh or any country, so obviously I think we all are registered with our National Medical Council, isn't it? No, Fumi. GMC. Okay, let me tell you, for the registration of GMC, now we have got three routes. Okay, now listen to me carefully, sweetheart. So we have got three routes for GMC. Okay, GMC is what? General Medical Council. This is like, I mean, for us Pakistanis, this is like PMC, Pakistan Medical Council. Okay, so for India, I think it is IMC, Indian Medical Council, if I'm not wrong. Okay, for Bangladesh, again, it is BMC. For every country, I'm sure. Okay, so we have got three routes to enter into GMC registration. Okay, and for this GMC registration, luckily now we have got three routes, and previously we used to have two routes only. All right, one route is PLAB. Okay, PLAB is what? PLAB is only license examination. This is not a post-grad qualification at all. This is not your, any kind of degree even. You can't even write it in front of your name, because this is just license examination to work into UK, to get registered with GMC, to have a medical certificate, and then you can touch your patients only. Otherwise, you cannot even go to hospital. You cannot even touch your patients. You cannot even, do any independent practice. All right. So PLAB is a license exam. It has got again two parts. Okay, PLAB 1 and PLAB 2. PLAB 1 is theory and PLAB 2 is OSCE again. And this is a very separate, and this is a very basic. And this is always recommended for freshers. Okay, for the candidates who have just finished their, the MBBS or MD. Okay, so this is recommended for those people, because they can go, they can start from scratch, and they can just start working over there. All right, then second route is MRCOG. Okay, and now since 2021, we have got third route, that is MRCPI. All right, for PLAB, what you have to do? Nothing. You have to have just MBBS. That's it. You can directly write, this PLAB 1, and then after passing PLAB 1, you can go for PLAB 2. But again, before, the writing PLAB, you have to have your English language, the test done. It can be OET, it can be IELTS. All right, OET with all grade Bs, in the reading, writing, listening, and speaking. For IELTS, at least you have to have 8 bands in 2, and I think 7.5 in 2. All right, but the criteria changes every year, so I mean we can't say. But for OET, I'm 100% sure, because I myself has passed OET. so I know what exactly is the criteria. All right. Okay. Then the second route is MRCOG. For MRCOG, you have to have complete MRCOG 1, 2, 3, and you have to have a membership, the certificate with you. After that certification, again, you have to write your OET or IELTS, and then you can directly get registered with GMC. All right. It means by after getting registered with GMC, you can go, you can look for your job opportunities, you can apply to any trust wherever you want to. Okay. And then if the luck, works, so then you can move and then you can relocate. All right. So done with two routes. Then we will talk about this third route. Okay, so I have told you for the PLAB, you have to have only MBBS, okay, basic qualification. For MRCOG, you have to have at least 4 years clinical experience before writing MRCOG Part 3. I'm sure you all know, right? But till date, for MRCPI, it's only 2 years of basic, the OBG qualification, means training, or you can say in other words, that is postgraduate training. If you guys have done your postgraduate training in your respective countries, so yes, you are eligible to go. Okay, if you have valid certificates, so yes, you can apply. So for this MRCPI, again, you have to write OET, and then you can go for GMC, and then you can look for job in Ireland as well as in the UK as well, if you really want to relocate to Ireland or UK. But yes, if you want to practice in your own countries, so nobody can stop you. If you want to relocate to any of the countries, yes, you can go, but again, you have to check with any country's respective medical council that are they accepting these qualifications as postgraduate qualification, because every country has different rules, so we can't apply one single rule to the every country. All right, clear so far? Clear, everyone? All right. For getting GMC after MRCPI, any limited attempts, like no, there are no limited attempts for GMC, my dear. All you have to do is that, obviously after doing MRCPI, you have to write your OET or IELTS, and then you have to apply for GMC. And after that, you can easily look for any job there is. Okay. Likewise for MRCOG, you can do the same. Okay. Okay, that's great. That's great. So we were here. Okay, so it means that your training should be finished, and this is just 18 months now. This is not even the 24 months. Like earlier, we used to have 2 years training, isn't it? So you have to have at least 18, and that training must be finished 6 months before you apply for any exam. All right, and I think this is a good opportunity for a clinician, for a practitioner, or for any candidate who is working as an OBG, who is in this studies business. So I think this is a good opportunity to go. Okay, then apply for this exam. This is from college website. For the March 2020, the seats are open, so I will encourage everybody who have never applied for this exam, kindly apply. At least you will be in a system, so whenever the next booking will open, so at least you can be in a flow. I have 3 years post-grad experience for BG. I'm thinking on continuing my training in the UK, or even start the training in the UK. For me, can you please mute yourself? So what I can say.
Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes. So for me, I have 3 years. I finished 2 years postgraduate, and I'm thinking that, okay, if I write the MRCOG Part 1, maybe I can get the GMC license to enable me start my training in the UK.
Sweetheart, what I can tell you is that, obviously you can go, but it's better to take are you fresh graduate or are you an old graduate? I'm sorry, I have to ask this, then I can guide you.
Old, I finished in 2017, and I'm already in the UK.
Okay. So you have 3 years postgraduate experience in OBG, and I think it's better to go for MRCPI for the time being. So what you can do is, on the basis of these 3 years postgraduate training, you can apply for MRCPI. Okay, perhaps if you don't get a seat in this, the March exam, you will be in a system, you will be in a flow, so you can get, the seat in the September exam. Okay, upcoming exam. So what you can do is, after, having this theory, so you can write. So what I can see is that I hope, by the God willing, so at least, we can have, the OSCEs, like, in the November exam as well. So if you get a chance to write your OSCE in November, so I think, but again, it's a 1 year target. On the other hand, if you want to write PLAB, so I think for a person who is already in the postgraduate training, so I never recommend for everybody who is in postgraduate training to start from the scratch and to write this PLAB. Because from the PLAB, what you will get is, okay, now let me tell you in the UK and Ireland how it will work. With PLAB, this is because in the UK, the system is not like our countries. Okay, so in the UK, even after doing PLAB, you are going to be foundation year training. Then this trainee is going to be year 1, year 2. This is kind of, the house job in our countries. Okay, so even though if you have done, everything, and you are, for example, if somebody is as a working consultant in their own respective countries, if somebody wants to go through PLAB route, so certainly they will get FY1, FY2 seats only. Okay, they won't get any specialty training seats. But by doing MRCPI and MRCOG, the window will open for you for the training. How? That after doing MRCOG, at least you can apply for, the specialty training, trainee 1, 2, 3 post. Okay, even after MRCPI, you can do the same. Okay, so this is a difference. This is a difference. And yes, you can work in UK, but you have got these 3 rules. Am I clear for me?
Yes.
Okay, okay, my dear. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, okay, okay. So I will suggest you to please, apply for MRCPI exam, because the window is open, application is open. It will close on 9th February 2022. And then after that, whoever is going to be successful in securing place, they will get a, email to pay the, the examination fee. And this is a good thing, I think. You don't have to pay at the time when you are applying for this, because certainly there are many candidates in the pipeline. Okay, but at least you will be in, a system.
I have a booking for the MRCOG Part 1 in January.
Okay,
Can I
that's great. That's great. That's great.
apply
So
for the
what you can
MRCOG?
do?
I
No,
have
no, no.
to
You
wait
can't. You can't. At least
because
then you
I'm
have
kind of
to.
confused now.
No, 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 no,
I was thinking.
no. Okay, now what you can do is give your 100% to MRCOG Part 1, and your aim should be that I have to target 2 exam after MRCOG Part 1. Okay, so you will be targeting MRCOG Part 2 next. Okay, and MRCPI Part 2 as well. All right, so already you have, the 2 years training. So I think you can directly jump with MRCPI 1 and MRCPI Part 2 as well. But again, there is a difference for you. For me, I can say, okay, let me just erase this thing so I can guide you in a proper way. So for MRCOG, because you have already 3 years training, sweetheart, so you need plus 1 year to write MRCOG Part 3. Okay, so what you have to do is that, you will get your certificates from your country for 3 years training. Okay, so get them signed, and they should be attested from your the hospital medical superintendent, whoever is the higher authority. Okay, for MRCOG 2, after January, what you can do is January exam Part 1. Okay, you can aim for MRCOG Part 2 in next, the July, September, or whatever is the attempt. Then also you can aim for MRCPI 2. Okay, now here comes the difference. Because for Part 3, you need 4 years, but here you only need 2 years. So what you can do is, after MRCPI Part 2 theory, you can directly go for OSCE. And I think if you ace this exam in first go, every exam, so I think by end of 2022, if you, be lucky enough, and if everything goes, the fine in your favor, so I think by the end of 2022, and exam are being held in November, okay, every year in November. So I think by that you can finish MRCPI 2, and after that you can write OET, and then bingo, you are good to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, okay, but I will advise you, don't even think of PLAB. Okay, because I think
Okay.
PLAB is, for a person who is postgraduate trainee, or for a person who is the specialty training or anything in their own country, I think lab is going to be pretty basic. This should be our last option if we are that desperate to go to the UK or Ireland. And I think, only in that situation somebody has to write. But I think this is not a good, the idea for anybody who is already in the, the OBG business. Okay. Okay, that's great. So yes, they are not going to ask you to pay on the first application after closing date, means after 9th February, they will get, the link for the payment and confirmation for the, the place. And then, at least, you will have, everything in your hand, in your favor. Until then, obviously, you have to prepare well, you have to, study well, because every exam is a good exam. Okay, every exam should be taken as a exam. So there is, because these days everything is so competitive, because everybody is aiming for 1, 2, 3, 4 exams these days. So yes, these exams have become so competitive. Okay, so these exams have been so competitive, so everybody should be on their toes whenever somebody is filling any exam form. Because why, I always say, because these days, because of recession and everything, because of the COVID pandemic, everybody is kind of struggling. Okay, everybody is kind of struggling, and we as a doctor, we have to struggle a lot in terms of, at hospital, at houses. And for the females, I must say, because they do have to take care of their house as well, kids as well, home chores, the work. And this is pretty, the kind of difficult, isn't it? So choose wisely, and then prepare, with full throttle. Because obviously, the exams are pretty expensive in terms of, the fee structure as well. And so everybody should be like, kind of, because this MRCPI fees is also 710 euro. Okay, so this is kind of, very much for everybody, for especially, the people who are like, kind of with a broken economy. So I think, this is kind of a good idea, that if somebody is going, so everybody should, go with full throttle. Number one, go with full zest and zeal. Study with full heart, and don't leave any loophole, and don't take any exam easy. Every exam is kind of, the competitive and difficult. Okay, and I can see just because of this, the GMC thing, this MRCPI and MRCG are going to be equally competitive in 2022. This I can guess, and this I can sense, because recently in, the November exam, candidates really had, many candidates had, some kind of hard time as well in clinicals. Okay, so I think this is because of only this GMC. Both exams are going to be very competitive. Okay, so don't take any exam, light. So just go for it. Okay, so how to prepare for exam? This is very much important. Okay, first of all, one should be thorough with their syllabus. Okay, first of all, know your syllabus first. Make a good schedule. Book slot according to your own feasibility and circumstances. Prepare with full throttle by not leaving any loophole. And I always love to say this thing, because I don't want anybody to leave anything when somebody is going for exam. Like I said, getting seat is a hassle, and preparing for an exam is also cumbersome. So yes, if you have got the slot, prepare well and then go for it, and then yes, success will be all yours, isn't it? So practice as many as questions as possible. Okay, so this is a very, the kind of $1 million question again, because the many people ask me that, Dr. Zaib, for MRCPI we don't have any kind of book, so from where to practice question? This is very, the important thing. So I'll be talking about it as well in upcoming slides. Okay, let's go step by step. So first of all, we will see that, how the syllabus is. Syllabus should be, on our tips, first of all. Okay, so from the website, what I have counted myself, that almost Royal College of, the Ireland, Physicians of Ireland, OBG guidelines are almost 40, and perhaps 1 or 2 in terms of COVID as well. Okay, COVID, infectious diseases as well. So yes, 40 plus, you can say plus minus 5 guidelines from the Irish guideline directly. Then some of the topics which are not being covered by these, the Irish guideline, we have to cover them from Green Top guidelines. And those topics are almost 10 to 15. Okay, like shoulder dystocia, like, the some other, the basic guidelines as well. Then yes, nice guidelines as well. And now remember, all of you, that we are talking about GMC now. We are talking about UK and Ireland, both. Okay. So we should be knowing that, they can talk about, each and everything in terms of nice guideline, in terms of green top guideline. And yes, Irish guidelines are always there. Then there are some selected TOG articles. Okay, because what I have felt, the difference between Irish exam and the UK exam was that Irish exam is pretty, the clinical. Okay, they do emphasize on the clinical, the things in terms of they do want to talk about, like, I mean, the clinical scenarios. They do want to talk about the clinical, later on, your clinical judgment as well, that how you are going to behave, how you are going to talk, and this, like this. So some selected talk articles, like, I mean, the ovarian cyst in adolescents, ovarian cyst in the menopause and premenopause and the postmenopausal women. Then comes ovarian torsion. Then there are the hysteroscopy of one guideline. Then there are nerve injuries, vascular injuries. So these selected talk articles, not all in terms of the MRCOG, because we do deal with a lot of talk articles in MRCOG, but that's not going to happen in MRCPI. But yes, we have to do selected talk articles, and those are kind of, like, I mean, 10 to 20 talk articles. Then selected BASH and the FSRH guidelines as well. Okay, in terms of BASH guidelines, the infections which are not being covered by the infections of Irish guidelines, so we have to do them. Okay. Like, I mean, from the talk articles, we can do CMV, we can do toxoplasmosis, we can do syphilis. Okay, because these are new, the talk articles. From the BASH guidelines, yes, we have to do some of the, the infections which are not being covered by these, because when we talk about the clinical exam, so yes, infections are going to be there. In terms of some FSRH guidelines, we have to cover, the emergency contraception, we have to cover CHC, we have to cover injectables, we have to cover progesterone-only pills, and, the intrauterine contraceptive devices as well. Okay, Mirena. Yes, everybody wants to talk about Mirena these days. Okay, so we should be knowing each and everything about Mirena. Okay, so clear everyone in terms of syllabus? Hmm? Okay, that's great. Okay, great. Okay. Yes, yes, we will share group. Okay, don't worry. We will try to help. We will help in preparation as well. All right. Thank you so much, Sheetal. Thank you. All right. So then, if we know the syllabus, obviously, afterwards, what we can do is we can arrange ourselves. We can arrange our time. We can arrange our syllabus. We can make a comprehensive schedule, and then obviously we can, work on that schedule effectively. So hot topics for MRCPI, these are very much important. Okay. So hot topics for MRCPI are amenorrhea, endometriosis. If you just scan all these topics, you will see that all these topics are so clinical. Okay. So this way you can see that this exam is very clinical oriented. They do want to talk about polycystic ovarian diseases, labor and its management, management of ovarian cysts from childhood to menopause, ovarian torsion, hirsutism, hyperprolactinemia, Down syndrome screening, infertility, contraception, hormonal replacement therapy, menopause and related issues, and osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is their favorite. None of the exam is devoid of, this osteoporosis. Okay. That's great. That's great, Rehan. That's great. Okay. So I hope you will have, some kind of knowledge about this exam after this session. Okay. If you need any kind of help, you can always text me or my team. Okay, great. So these, if you just, these are hot topics, but these are not, like, I mean, kind of, the only topics what we have to cover. Okay. Like I said, that we have to be thorough in all these guidelines. If you just, count, so how many guidelines can be there? The roughly 90 to 100 topics or 90 to 100 things. See, this is not an easy job, isn't it? So it means you have to be on your toes while you are preparing for this exam as well. And again, I will repeat, don't take any exam so lightly, okay? Because none of the exam is so easy, and every exam has, only two results. Either you can pass or either you can fail any exam, okay? So our aim should be to pass exam, Okay. Then comes practice question books. Again, if you just scan on this slide, you will see that why are we dealing with MRCOG everywhere? Why are we, looking at MRCOG? The answer is quite, the clear. Answer is quite clear because till date we don't have any, the book till date who is just focusing on MRCPI. But perhaps in upcoming year or because of this, the competition. So I can sense that there can be, any book on solely on the MRCPI, this syllabus as well. On the other hand, what we can do is, because this is only single best answer exam, all right, single best answer exam, what we have to do is, okay, I will open this book. What I will be doing is that, I will be writing, the RCPI keys in front of that book. If I have hard copy or even, in the soft copy, you can add, okay, because keys are going to be different, isn't it? And it is always recommended that, please choose, please pick, all recommended sources for single best answers. Skip EMQ parts, okay, skip EMQ parts. Don't do any EMQ, just do single best answer questions, as many answers, the single best answer questions, as many as possible. All right. And then, the recall questions for the MRCPI, it is very important because, I don't say that, it's going to repeat as such, but yes, it is going to give us an idea that, what are the important hot topics for them. Okay. And this is going to give us an idea that, okay, none of the exam is devoid of all these questions. Like I said, osteoporosis, you will have one or two osteoporosis, you will have menopause question, you will have, the ovarian cyst, ovarian torsion, the clinical guidelines kind of things. Okay, so all you have to do is that you will be doing all these question books, but yes, keys are going to be different because, like I said, that we do have RCPI guidelines. Okay, in terms of RCPI guidelines, like, we do have hypertension guideline here for the NICE. We do have hypertension guideline on the RCPI guideline here as well. So the difference is going to be very, broad because their practice is very different and NICE guideline is totally different. Likewise for the diabetes. Likewise for the, today we are going to discuss obesity as well. Plus they have got VTE guideline that is totally different from our RCOG guideline. Okay, they have, the few other guidelines, like, they do have, the very beautiful guidelines. I think domestic abuse, they do have nutrition in pregnancy, they have, okay, and some other, very, what you can say, the very clinically oriented guidelines. So they have very different guidelines. So all you have to do is first you have to cram up all these guidelines, then you will jump to the green top guidelines, then select your top articles, then BAHESH, FSRH and NICE guidelines as well. Okay, in terms of NICE guidelines, you will be dealing with incontinence, you will be dealing with infertility. Okay, you will be talking about, the some of the labor guidelines, cesarean section guideline as well. All right, clinical stuff, like, the type of the patients you will see in your own hospitals. Okay, the different the clinical aspects of guidelines. Okay. All right. Okay, clear everyone? There are no separate books. Okay. Somebody sending me direct message. So there are no separate books. So again, you have to go through the same SPA books what you have, okay, for MRCOG, but beware with the keys. Okay, be extremely careful with keys because many guidelines, and yes, I forgot to tell you guys, preterm labor guideline is extremely different, okay, in the RCPI and in the NICE guideline. Okay, so whenever you do, try to differentiate both topics, okay, both things, because what happens is that, if somebody is preparing for MRCOG, so he or she can get, easily confused by this thing, okay, what to write and what to not write. Okay, like I said, that for MRCPI, if you are making your own notes, that is going to help you. No, 40 I could count. Okay, but there are, yes, you are absolutely right that, they are like, kind of going for 2022 updates. Okay, but those are like, if you just note down the topics, those are pretty, the change. Okay, I will show you a list as well that, they have got, still they have got the guidelines. All right, so don't worry about it. So again, as a support, as a mentor, as a team, what we can do is like, I mean, we can help you, we will help you, we will give you some kind of support, advice, and guidance to sail through this difficult journey as well. Okay. And many people know me since very long, that I have been running all these Facebook groups for free. I have been doing everything. Okay. So yes, I will be doing that as well. Apart from that, obviously, on behalf of MedExam Expert, we do run the MRCPI courses as well. So in keeping in view of the everything, the difficult times as well, so we did try to give some kind of preparation and the revision courses as well. Okay. So if somebody has had the if they want to go for MRCPI, so they can choose the both plans. Okay. The people who are today with us, if they just give us their name, original names, okay, by which they are logged in, and so yes, they are going to get a lot of benefit out of our courses. Okay. So they can choose their own plans, the preparation fellow plan and the revision fellow plans. In the preparation fellow, they will have live sessions with me and my fellow mentor, recorded sessions, study rooms, okay, 24/7 support, all RCPI guidelines, okay, the summaries, the GTG and the talk summaries as well, which are important for RCPI. So they will get 30% off on this. And the revision fellows, they are not going to have live sessions, they are not going to have some of the other perks, but yes, they are going to have all these the bulk. So the people who are here with us, they can get, I think, this marvelous discount out of this. Okay. So if somebody whose exam booking is confirmed, so they can join as a MRCPI preparation fellow later on. Okay. So they will get 30% off on their full course. And the people whose the exam booking is not confirmed, so they will still be with us as a MRCPI revision fellow. Okay. So if anybody who is interested can reach out to me or MedExam Expert page. Okay. All the numbers are here. Okay. So we will be guiding you through. Whoever is interested can contact. All right. And we are starting our the March course like by the end of this month. So hopefully I mean, we will be seeing you as well as preparation fellow or revision fellow. All right. So these are our the numbers for the sales team, support team, and even as a mentor, you can always reach out to me as well directly. Okay. If you guys have any kind of query, any kind of ambiguity, so we are always there. And as a team, we always at your service, as a mentor, as a friend, as a whatever you want to say. Okay. And even apart from this code, my doors are always open for any guidance as well, be it MRCOG, be it FCPS, be it European board, be it like, I mean, Pakistan exam, FCPS as well. Okay. So anybody can reach out to me on Facebook. Okay. All right. Okay. So now let's discuss this obesity in pregnancy. This is very, interesting guideline. When I was going through this guideline, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it. Okay. Uh, Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate. Okay. So we will deal with this obesity in pregnancy. Okay. Very important guideline in terms of, because, we do have RCOG guideline as well. While we talk about this Irish, the syllabus, obviously we have to have, the focus on, the important aspect, whatever are given in there. Although in Irish guidelines, they don't emphasize much on percentages. Okay. So we don't have to, emphasize on these percentages. Hardly ever they ask questions on percentages. This is also a beauty of Irish exam. This I personally liked when I was going for this exam. All right. So yes, for like, I mean, unlike MRCOG, which is very focused on numbers as well, okay, percentages. But in Irish exam, you won't be seeing so many percentages. Okay. So in terms of the prevalence of obesity, so they say the class 3 maternal obesity is like 1.6% in Dublin, and 1.4% in Primipara, and 1.8% in Multipara, 1.8% in Galway, and 2% in the UK. And these are very old stats. Okay, 2010. Then the classification of obesity is very much important. So I mean, we all know that we do classify on the basis of BMI, isn't it? So underweight is going to be less than 18.5. So first of all, let's see what is the normal range. So if we know the normal, so then we can easily think of the abnormal. So anything which is less than 18 is going to be considered as underweight, and more than 24 is going to be overweight and then obese. Okay, so yes, 18.5 to 24.9 is going to be the normal range, and less than 18 is going to be the underweight, and overweight is going to be more than or equal to 25. So pre-obese, see, now this is the difference between the Irish guideline. Okay, pre-obese is 24.5 to 29.9. Obese is going to be, and this we call it as, directly overweight, isn't it? So they call it as pre-obese. So obese is going to be more than or equal to 30 BMI, that is kilogram per meter square. Class 1 is going to be 30 to 34.9. Class 2 is going to be 35 to 39.9. Class 3 is going to be more than 40. That is going to be morbidly obesity. Okay, morbid obesity. So these are all classes of guideline according to Irish guideline. Then if a person is obese, how you are going to address that obesity? Okay, how you are going to give a pre-pregnancy care? So ideally, we all know that obesity has its own pros and cons, health hazards, the many things. In terms of females, they do have the polycystic ovarian syndrome, and that polycystic ovarian syndrome can have infrequent and frequent anovulation as well. Obese women who are planning are more likely to conceive if they lose weight, and the Royal College guidelines say that 7% are going to have natural ovulation if even they reduce weight by 5%. Okay, so yes, it is a good thing, isn't it? So they do, kind of emphasize on diet and then exercise as well. So obesity per se will be having congenital malformations as well in terms of neural tube defects, and these are going to be higher as compared with the normal woman. Periconceptual folate supplementation is very much important, and this is very much important that the high dose folic acid should be given 1 month prior to conception, and it should be continued throughout the first trimester. Okay, this is same as RCOG guideline. So no change in terms of folic acid. Okay, so 5 milligram at least 1 month before conception and continue through the first trimester. Then a woman should have their height and weight measured with their shoes off, standing erect, using a small mounted meter stick to the nearest 0.1 centimeter. The weight should be measured wearing light clothing to the nearest of 0.1 kilogram difference, and the BMI should be calculated later on. So BMI should be calculated at the first antenatal visit, ideally in the first trimester, means at the time of booking. It is going to be ideal at 10 weeks of gestation. So mean weight and body composition doesn't change in the early pregnancy. It means that it's not going to have a gross difference if somebody is having, the tiny differences in the weight, okay, in the BMI. So yes, it doesn't change in the first trimester. So they have got, the BMI calculator, they put their name, and these BMI calculators we can easily find out on the Google as well if we really want to, see somebody's BMI. And then they do have the charts as well, and on the basis of charts they do go for this, if somebody is underweight, normal, overweight, obese. Okay, so they will have the height in the the inches or the centimeters, and then they will have weight. Okay, and by this they are going to label somebody with any of the degree of the obesity. Then, in terms of the healthy eating in pregnancy, like I said earlier, that Irish people are so focused on the these kind of clinical stuff. Okay, they do want to give the clear guidelines about the healthy eatings in pregnancy, even for the non-obese women as well. Okay, the women with the normal BMI too. So they have got a very beautiful guideline nutrition in pregnancy. So for the obesity, they say a well-balanced diet is important for everybody. Okay, a good general rule is to cut down on sugar, fat, salt, and eat more fish, fruit, vegetables, high fiber cereals. Okay, if somebody already is with specialist input or special diet, so consult with the dietitian. So we do have a consultation. We do have a consultation in terms of MDT input. So they obese people are allowed to have the healthy food as well, like meat, fish, other protein, 3 servings daily. Okay, for protein and iron. For milk and dairy, 5 servings daily. Cereals, breads, and other the starches, like 6 to 9 servings daily. Fruits, vegetables, more than 5 servings daily. So it means at least they can have all these healthy foods. If you can just have an aerial view on this, you can see, they are having meat, poultry, fish, eggs, the beans, peas, pulses. So if you just focus, I mean, this looks very yummy, and this looks, very, high, like, I mean, kind of energy content as well, isn't it? So, I mean, the yogurt, cottage cheese, cheddar cheese, the low fat milk that is vitamin D fortified. They can have fruit juices. They can have, the medium sized fresh fruit. Okay. Then they can have cereals. They can have, the potato or yam. They can have, the sliced bread, small pita bread, chapati, or naan if they really want to take. Okay. And, the salad as well. Altogether, I mean, this is a very healthy. Even if we look at, our lifestyle as well, being a doctor, when I was reading, like I told you, when I was reading this guideline, I was like, I mean, kind of very intrigued, and I was like, I mean, kind of very much, into this thing that okay, everybody should adapt, this kind of healthy eating. I mean, not even in pregnancy, I think without pregnancy as well. So this is going to be a balanced thing. So healthy fats should be there. Do not skip meals. They have to have a regular meals and snacks. Evenly spaced throughout the day. And this should be like, I mean, kind of every 1 to 2 hours they have to take. Okay, they have to take folate or folic acid to prevent from the neural tube defects such as spina bifida. And folate is found in dark green leafy vegetables, bovril, and the marmite as well. Folic acid is found in fortified breakfast cereals and breads. Okay, so they have to take folic acids until 12 weeks, means first trimester. Some women may be advised to continue throughout pregnancy. Calcium should be given. Okay, we will talk about calcium. Calcium can be found in milk, yogurt, cheese. Smaller amounts can be found in green vegetables, omega-3, and tinned fish can be there. Okay, if somebody who doesn't like milk, so they can have cheese or yogurt, and they can also discuss alternatives with the help of the dietitian. Vitamin D should be there with the help of eggs, fortified milk, margarine, fortified breakfast cereal, oily fishes, and salmon, sardines, okay, herring, tuna fish. And I'm sure everybody likes tuna, everybody likes salmon, isn't it? Sardines. So I mean, for the Ireland, because that is a very kind of the weather. I mean, they don't see the sun much like us, okay, like Asians and the Middle East. So they do have the somewhat vitamin D deficiency. Okay, so somewhat we all know from the physiology part that our body it makes active portion of the vitamin D3 in our body, okay, from the sunlight. So what happens is that if they don't get enough sun, so naturally their body is going to be deficient in vitamin D. Omega-3 they have to take. Omega-3 is going to be in the salmon fish, trout fish, okay. It's going to be in sardines, kippers, and herring. So it's good, and flaxseed as well. And these days, if you just go on Facebook and Insta, you will see, many companies, many people are working on flaxseed, isn't it? So it has got omega-3 that is the kind of good for the heart, that is good for body, that is good for kidneys as well. So many the benefits in terms of obesity. Yes, they have to have a balanced diet. In terms of the BMI, so we have said that BMI should be calculated, okay, at first visit. Then at first visit we do go for the viability scan as well. So they have to have a transvaginal scan because of the obesity. Probably they can get some kind of problems in calculating the gestational age as well. All right, so yes, I mean, they have to go for transvaginal scan. In terms of the vitamin D, write it down, because this dose is very much important. So they have to have 10 milligram vitamin D supplementation during pregnancy and breastfeeding as well. So they should be advised on healthy eating before and during pregnancy. Unless there is any kind of contraindication, they have to have regular exercises as well. And plus, for this blood pressure measurement, this is very much important in the obese woman. They do take mid-arm circumference, okay, mid-arm circumference. They do measure this mid-arm circumference in all pregnant ladies, particularly for the women who are more than 29.9 kilogram at the first visit. If their MAC is more than 33, so they will use larger cuff for the BP measurement. Okay, they will have a larger cuff for the BP measurement. That is very much important, because if the BP cuff is small, if the BP cuff is not enough to measure, so we can either under measure, or we can either over measure the blood pressure. So in terms of common problems during pregnancy, for the obesity, there's going to be morning sickness, constipation, heartburn, and the weight gain as well, because obese people are very much, the the apprehensive for their weight gain as well. So it is very much important that the recommended weight gain is between 6.8 to 15.9 kilogram for a single baby. If it is carrying twins or multiple babies, then there can be, a bit more than that. But if somebody is gaining a lot of weight, so they have to cut down on their fried and fatty food, sweets, cakes, biscuits, sugar, foods, and drinks. Like we have said earlier in our opening statement in terms of nutrition, that they have to cut their sugars, starch, okay, and carbs. Foods to avoid, they have to avoid, the soft boiled or raw eggs in terms of, the homemade mayonnaise, mousse, and cheesecakes. Do not take cod liver oil. Okay, they don't have to take, the camembert cheese, brie, Stilton, blue cheese. Okay, because all these plus canned food as well, fish, raw fish, sushi. Okay, undercooked or reheated meat, poultry and fish, which is like less smoked, undercooked. So it will give the foodborne infections as well, like salmonella infection, like listeriosis, that can be dangerous in pregnancy. And by the way, for Irish people, Irish guideline, listeriosis is a separate guideline. Okay, they do value listeriosis. That's why you will see these in terms of nutrition, that they are against all these canned food and everything for the pregnant ladies. So food hygiene should be kept. Alcohol should not be there at all. Smoking should not be there, because obviously it's going to harm the development of the baby. And for the vitamins, generally vitamins are not recommended, but if somebody needs something because of any something condition, so yes, we have to give them, but generally it is not recommended, multivitamins in fact, okay, B complex or something. But yes, vitamin D is necessary. So now the pregnant lady is pregnant, so there can be some kind of problems in the pregnancy as well. So the Irish guideline focuses on cesarean section, VTE, and then they focus on the the blood pressure as well. That is very much important. So obese women, they are likely to have cesarean section more than the normal BMI category. So obesity is going to have 2 to 3-fold increased risk of the delivery by emergency cesarean section in both primipara and multipara, both. So when they go for cesarean section, there are chances that there can be vertical abdominal incision as well. If it is there, then it is associated with increased operative time, blood loss. So yes, they do. Authors recommend avoidance of subcutaneous strains and the use of transverse wall incision. Okay, so it's a common practice to administer IV antibiotic prophylaxis to all women who are going for cesarean section, and for the fat, because of and this is same in the TOG article as well, that if fat is more than 2 centimeters, you have to stitch it. Okay, to reduce the risk of wound infection and separation as well. This is very much important. Then obesity and gestational diabetes. Okay, and here I want to tell you one thing is that gestational diabetes OGTT values are very different from the RCOG guideline. Okay, so if any candidate who is aiming for both exams, so I will advise that be extremely careful while you deal with all these questions. Okay, in terms of obesity, so it is very much high for the women who are having BMI more than 29. They should be screened at 28 weeks. Okay, it is not like RCOG like 28 to 32 weeks. It is exactly 28. Okay, difference. So plus they have got the plenty of risk factors. There are not 5 factors like NICE guideline. They have got almost 10 or 11 risk factors. Okay, for the diabetes. So if OGTT is abnormal, it should be repeated postpartum to confirm. See, they are doing postpartum OGTT as well. Okay, but for the the NICE guideline, we do have some other criteria. Okay, labor. So for the labor, so obese women can have postpartum hemorrhage. So active management of third stage should be done. Transabdominal electronic fetal monitoring is technically challenging. So they will have very much the fetal scalp electrode, the sampling, fetal scalp electrode monitoring early in the labor. So women with severe obesity, BMI more than 30, morbidly obese, so they will have early IV access. They will have early anesthetist input, okay? And senior anesthetist should be informed that, okay, this woman is in labor and this can develop or this can have, any problem later on. So yes, ideally all women with severe obesity should be having functional epidural catheter placed because of the we have to give them low threshold of pain as well. Apart from providing analgesia, physiological challenges during labor, the presence of functional epidural catheter can be used to induce anesthesia quickly in the cases of emergency cesarean section, because obesity can cause to difficult general anesthesia as well. There can be, the difficult intubation. So plus it can lead to Mendelssohn syndrome, isn't it? Gastric aspiration syndrome, and that is fairly common in the obese people. So I mean, we have to avoid it. So if catheter is placed in place, so it is going to give good idea. In terms of obesity and VTE, this is very much important that the incidence of VTE during pregnancy is 5 to 12 per 10,000. It is equally distributed in each trimester. See, it is also different from Royal College guideline. Okay, it says that it is in the third trimester and per puerperal. Okay, although the VTE risk can be there, but the more acute event can be seen in the third trimester and postpartum. So they, like I said, that they are very clinical people. Okay, they do talk about all basic concepts as well. So they have given this word show triads. I'm sure everybody knows about it. That if somebody has had if because of endothelial damage, there can be hypercoagulable stage, there can be blood flow status, and all together it can lead to thrombosis. And for the women who are having more than 29.9 kilogram BMI, they are at increased risk of antepartum and postpartum VTE. So if we talk about VTE, so in pregnancy, we are very much concerned with the pulmonary embolism, because if somebody is developing pulmonary embolism, it is going to cause maternal mortality. In fact, in the developed world as well. Okay, and it is potentially preventable. Why? Because if we identify these factors early, if we address them early, so yes, we can reduce the chances of VTE and hence pulmonary embolism as well. Then VTE, it is very much important. RCOG says that the women who are morbidly obese, more than 39.9 kilograms, should receive thromboprophylaxis irrespective of mode of delivery. And in here, they have to stratify risk, okay? And they have to give, the low molecular weight heparin accordingly. So the doses should be, changed accordingly. If somebody is on VTE prophylaxis already, and the booking weight is more than 90 kilograms, so dose can be increased. But, many prefer to give half of the recommended daily dose twice daily. It can be once daily, it can be twice daily as well. And again, beware that for VTE, they have separate guidelines. Because in this session particularly, we are dealing with obesity, so we will be just talking about that. And in here, in Irish guidelines, they do talk about VTE and creatinine clearance as well. Okay, because for tinzaparin, creatinine clearance is very much necessary. Okay, they have to have a baseline creatinine clearance, and then if creatinine clearance is less than 20 ml per minute, so they reduce the dose of tinzaparin as well. All right, and yes, there is pragmatic case to be made for recommended stockings for pregnant women at high risk of VTE, particularly if they are hospitalized and have contraindication to molecular weight heparin. But usually they don't support. Okay, Irish people don't support on the TED stocking like RCOG. Okay, they don't support. They say that that it is very pragmatic that either graduated elastic compression stocking, they are going to prevent VT in pregnancy, because it is very difficult to fit properly, particularly in advanced pregnancy, and thigh length stocking risk become blood stained, because if they are forcefully trying to put on this stocking, so it can give rise to more injury as well. Then after the delivery and the cesarean section and everything, they are very much concerned with the breastfeeding as well. All right, so they say for the obesity and the breastfeeding, obese women are less likely to intend, initiate and continue breastfeeding. It means they will have all these problems in the breastfeeding as well. So they need a lot of support. They need a lot of emotional, physical and psychological support as well at all times, because they will be in dire need of the support, okay, from their family, relatives, loved ones, and even if they are in hospital, then healthcare professionals as well. So these associations remain when age parity and education levels are taken into account. So a woman may need extra support postpartum with breastfeeding in the hospital and following discharge home as well. All right. So this is all about this guideline obesity. And yes, I want to highlight one thing as well, because green top guideline talks about aspirin as well. Okay, aspirin. Who is going to tell me the dose of the aspirin and for how long we have to give this aspirin to the woman? Hmm? Very good, 150 milligram. And for how long you have to give? And when you have to start? Yes, dose is correct. Hmm? 150 milligram from 12 weeks, yes. And delivery, this is what I want to know. Okay. And you just have noticed that Irish guideline is not emphasizes on this. But I will suggest, okay, because of this, the GMC thing, so perhaps they can touch this aspirin as well. Okay. So this should be in our minds as well at all times. So we shouldn't be confused if we see any question on aspirin too. All right. 150 milligram from 12 weeks until delivery. Okay. So per se, Irish guideline is not discussing about this aspirin, but yes, I think this is the important aspect. All right. Clear, everyone? Any question? Any question, guys? Zahra, okay. Yes, yes, you can always join. Okay, we will be happy to guide you. If you have any query, you can always reach out to us. Okay. So these are all, the numbers given from our team. So apart from course, in terms of obesity, if you have any question, you can ask. Mhm. Thank you so much, Preeti. Thank you so much. Means a lot. Okay. So I'll be happy if you guys, get the maximum benefit out of it as well. All right. Yes, Arif, it will be uploaded. Okay. It will be uploaded on YouTube. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So if you guys have any question, I'm here to answer. Okay. In terms of obesity or anything or any query regarding exam guideline as well. Yes, yes, do go for exam. Okay. Like I said earlier, that the good part till date is that they need 2 years only. Okay, they just need 2 years. Thank you so much. I'm still waiting for any question if there is. Otherwise, we will conclude our session. If somebody needs any kind of help in terms of the booking or something, we will be happy to guide you. Okay, even for the exam booking and even for the course booking as well. No, 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 no. They don't need it, Arif. They will be needing it from March onwards. Okay, perhaps by August you should be having 18 months training, but not for this March exam. Okay, so I will encourage that at least you can apply. Okay, apply for this exam, so at least you will be in a the flow. Do come to me. Do talk to me. Okay. All right. See you. Bye bye. Allah Hafiz. Take care.